wasn't there, but the car was heard earlier. So.
Have you seen our individual list?
Okay, the YouTube stream is live, guys.
Road cleaner?
So we'll start in about 20 seconds.
Yeah. What about one of what's Yeah, Mr. It's not something we should be doing.
Is he doing that at work?
He's in clothing.
Okay, all right, welcome everyone to the 7th Ordinary Council meeting for 2026. I'll commence by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land upon which we meet, the Butchulla people, and pay my respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging. Opening prayer. Let us pray together, each of us according to our individual beliefs. Grant to this council wisdom, understanding, and sincerity of purpose for the good governance of the community. Apologies and leave of absence. We're all here. Noting that Councillor Sanderson is online. Disclosures of interest. Are there any disclosures of interest? Item 5.1, the ordinary council meeting minutes for pages 4 to 16. Is there a mover? Councillor Burns, seconded Councillor Cosgrove. Any speakers or questions? I'll put the motion. All in favour? Any opposed? That's carried unanimously. Outstanding actions, item 6.1, pages 17 to 26. Is there a mover that we receive a note of the open resolutions register? Councillor Souvlis, seconded Councillor Govers. Any speakers or questions? I'll put the motion. All in favour? Any opposed? That's carried unanimously. Item 7.1, community presentations. Acting CEO.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We had 4 community presentations this morning, the first of which was from Mr. Alan McGraw, who raised concerns regarding the through connection at Ibis Boulevard between Point Vernon and Eloy Waters, and concerns regarding impacts on the existing community. The second speaker this morning was Mr. Cameron Hughes from the Harvey Bay Squash Club, who requested Council's consideration of suitable land to support the construction of the new squash facilities to support the Squash Club. Speaker number 3 this morning was Brianna Mitchell, who spoke about the reef, the impacts on the reef of urban development and artificial light impact on the reef and marine ecosystems. The last speaker this morning was Mr. Jacob Gamble, who spoke regarding concerns on gentrification across the Harvey Bay community, particularly regarding large business impacts on community, local businesses and wildlife.
Is there a mover that council note the verbal report? Councillor Truscott, seconded Councillor Souvlis. Any speakers or questions? I'll put the motion. All in favour? Opposed? That's carried unanimously. Item 9.1, petitions. Councillor O'Keefe.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a petition from Harvey Bay Squash Inc. Respectfully asking Fraser Coast Regional Council to support the future of squash by considering a lease of suitable council land for a new squash facility. It has 175 signatures, and I would ask that we receive a report to council on that petition.
Yes, the motion is that the petition be received and referred to a committee or officer for consideration and report to council. I'll second that. All in favour? Any opposed? That's carried unanimously. Councillor Cosgrove.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a petition from the Chief Petitioner, Mr. Alan McGraw, requesting that the 2 sections of Ibis Boulevard between Eloy Waters and Point Vernon not be joined for motor vehicle traffic. It has 74 signatures. I move that the petition be received and referred to an officer for consideration and report to council.
Is there a seconder? Councillor Govers. I'll put the motion. All in favour? Any opposed? That's carried unanimously. Any further petitions?
Mr. Mayor, I just got one question.
Yes.
The one for squash, how many signatures were on it?
175.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Any further questions? I'll move to item 9.2. Any further petitions? No further petitions. I'll move to item 9.2, engagement outcomes of the proposal to change parking area to include a shared loading zone and 2-hour parking at 432 Esplanade, pages 27 to 33. Councillor O'Keefe, are you moving the recommendation? Yep. Is there a seconder? Councillor Cosgrove. Any speakers or questions? I'll put the motion. All in favour? Any opposed? That's carried unanimously. Item 9.3, Freshwater Street Flood Management, pages 34 to 63. Is there a mover for this? Councillor Souflis. Is there a seconder? Councillor O'Keefe. Any speakers or questions? I'll put the motion. All in favour? Any opposed? That's carried unanimously. Item 10.1, informal meeting, record of matters discussed, pages 64 to 74. Is there a mover for this? Councillor Cosgrove, seconded Councillor Souflis. Any speakers or questions? Put the motion. All in favour? Any opposed? That's carried unanimously. Item 10.2, Fraser Coast Regional Council Audit and Risk Committee meeting minutes, pages 75 to 81. Is there a mover for this? Councillor Burns, seconded Councillor Whelan. Any speakers or questions? Put the motion. All in favour? Any opposed? That's carried unanimously. Item 10.3, the Water and Waste Services Advisory Committee meeting minutes, 82 to 86. Is there a mover for this? Councillor Byrne, seconded Councillor O'Keefe. Any speakers or questions? I'll put the motion. All in favour? Any opposed? That's carried unanimously. Item 11.1.1, council meeting attendance for August 2026. This is pages 87 to 88 for the agenda. Is there a mover for this? Councillor Souflis, seconded Councillor Govers. I'm getting used to your name now because you're seconding somebody. It's helpful. 87 to 88. Is there any speakers or questions? I'll put the motion. All in favour? 1, 2. Sorry, I'll just hold my hands up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All opposed? 2. Oh, sorry, Councillor Sanderson, you were in favour, yeah? So it was a delay, yeah. Yeah, that's carried 9-2. Item 11.2.1, request for a new lease, the T-Bar Show and Sports Association, 89 to 93. Is there a mover for this? Councillor Byrne, seconded Councillor Cosgrove. Any speakers or questions? Councillor Byrne.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just probably more a statement than anything, just to note that this group is a very small but extremely mighty group of hard workers out there. That's a generational committee that runs the events out there. And they are the group that will utilise this area to the best potential. I see these upgrades as making the area a safe place to use and increasing the standard for our public and competitors alike. And the granting of this lease will see continued security for the T-Bar Show Association. So I'd just like to support this lease. Thank you.
Any further speakers or questions? I'll put the motion. All in favour? Any opposed? That's carried unanimously. Item 11.2.2, request for new lease, YB Medical Services, 94 to 97. Moved Councillor Truscott, seconded Councillor Cosgrove. Any speakers or questions? I'm happy to speak to this. I think this is the old Tyro Shire offices, and they are very well utilised as a medical practice now, serving the community. This is an essential service for the community of Tyro. I know that fairly recently the pharmacy has reopened, which is also very good news.
It's also, just excuse me, it's also full-time now.
Yeah.
5 days a week. They were only 2, now they're 5, and that's excellent.
Yeah, so it's very good to have this medical
And
practice
our
continue.
services in the council building.
Yeah, so it's really, this Tyro Shire obviously existed for generations and served the community, and the building is now serving the health of the community. Councillor Chapman?
Mr Mayor, I'd like to just put my words of support towards this, to have a medical facility within this, in Tyro, as Tyro we know is a growing area. But this also supports other areas like Mungar. People from there go and use the local doctors, Bopple, right across Glenwood. It's great that these people can use these services so close to the centre of that region out there. So I think it's great that we're supporting that with using the old council chambers.
Any further speakers or questions? I'll put the motion. All in favour? Any opposed? That's carried unanimously. Item 11.2.3, LGAQ motions, pages 98 to 113. Councillor Govers.
Yes, I have a procedural motion. Thank you, Mr Mayor. The council table a document titled Motion 6, Modernising Local Government Election Accessibility, Participation and Safety.
Let's move that be tabled. All in favour? Any opposed? That's carried. Councillor Govers. So,
Oh,
Just
yeah,
adding point 6.
we're just adding, motion six,
Yes.
approve the submission of motion 6, modernising local government election accessibility, participation and safety as per the tabled document.
Is that, are you seconding that?
Yes,
Councillor
please.
Souvlas?
Yep.
Do you wish to speak to this? Any speakers or questions? Councillor Souvlas?
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Just to commend my colleague Councillor Govers for bringing this motion. It is really important and it just reflects the experiences that a lot of us around this table in this room, as well as other community members, had at pre-poll in the 2024 local government elections, where there were no toilet facilities accessible for anyone. In Harvey Bay pre-poll, it was 12 hours of standing in the hot sun, not only for candidates, but sometimes up to an hour or more for people trying to vote. There was no disability accessibility, there was no parking, the list goes on. And I think that this is really important because we certainly can't be the only local government area that this happened to. And we've heard at countless local government conferences from colleagues that they were also susceptible to these conditions. And so, yeah, it's really important that we get this happening and that we understand that times are changing and people can and should be able to vote differently and potentially not have how to vote cards thrown in their face, kind of in a rabbit run. So I think it's time to modernise the way that we vote and the way that voting and pre-poll booths are conducted. So I'm really excited to see this go to the conference and hopefully it passes. Thank you.
Councillor Byrne?
I'd just like to also commend Councillor Govers on this motion. Considering the experience that Maryborough pre-poll had versus what Harvey Bay's pre-poll had, they were polar opposites, and quite frankly, it's just not good enough. We need to do better for our members of the public and for ourselves, and for anyone potentially looking to run for council. If you had to witness and had to be a part of the organisation that it was last time, when I use the word organisation very loosely, it was actually probably absolutely terrible. So I think this motion should be supported by everybody around this table. Thank you.
Councillor?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I actually also support this. As Councillor Souvlas said, you had to walk 2 blocks to Woolworths to use the toilet. Candidates weren't allowed to go and use the toilet. This wasn't run by the council, it was run by the state government. And what actually happened is council had to go down and set up aisleways so it could be, people knew where to go. We had council staff, council CEO down there working out how to make it better. Then we had disabled people that were pulling up in their cars that couldn't get out of their cars. Some of them wanted to go inside and they had to go across gravel, across a driveway. The gate was, there was a lip where the gate was. Mr Mayor, we can do better, and I really think that we should push this at the next motion.
Councillor Truscott?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I think all the words have been said and I agree with them, but I just wanted to commend Councillor Govers for bringing this up. Thank you.
Councillor Cosgrove?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'll speak in support of the motion to essentially submit these 6 motions to the LGAQ conference. And why do we do that? Well, the LGAQ is the peak body for local governments in Queensland. And it is I would say, an organisation with a pretty good track record on advocacy. There's some things where they're not having wins where I would like them to, like the indexing of infrastructure charges, for example. However, it is an organisation that is 133 years old. It will be the 133rd annual conference. And the reason we put these forward is to seek support from the other 77 odd member councils to endorse these positions and make them become formal LGAQ positions that they then take forward and do what they do well, which is advocacy. So some different sort of more procedural ones, like motion 1 there. Motion 2, about the population projection data and how that is used. That's a huge issue for our region because we are often receiving resources and grants and the like based on middle or lower order projections of population. But the advice that we receive as councillors is that, in fact, based on the Queensland Government Statistician's Office high projection, we may well be outstripping that. So if we are not getting funding, resources and the like based on our actual population growth rather than just our, one of these bands of the QGSO's population projection, we are falling behind. So I think that's a really good motion, as are the other four as well. Commend Councillor Govers for bringing forward her motion as well, and I'll endorse the comments that the Harvey Bay pre-poll was a disgrace, was a rabble. We saw people literally injured at that site, and that can't be repeated. So look, very important for us to put this forward as a council and then hope that our colleagues across the state endorse these motions and they become formal LGAQ advocacy positions. And that's why we're doing this. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Any further speakers or questions? I'll put the motion. All in favour? Opposed? That's carried unanimously. Item 11.2.4, the Audit and Risk Committee membership. Is there a mover for this? Councillor Burns, second Councillor Wheeland. Any speakers or questions? I just want to say I agree that it's a good idea to have the terms staggered, so you only ever have one external member retiring at a time. I think that is very good for corporate memory and continuity. Yeah, Councillor Byrne.
Thank you. Yeah, I'd just like to note that we're very fortunate actually to have the skill set that we do have on our Audit and Risk Committee. They're a very seasoned group of board members, and their knowledge is incredible, and I concur with Mayor Seymour to have the staggered participation and terms means that we have a good succession plan in place to consider that the council is placed well forward, moving forward with our committee. I support this motion, no doubt.
I'll put the motion. All in favour? Opposed? That's carried unanimously 10-0. Item 11.2.5, the new policy, data breach, council policy 117 to 125. Is there a mover for this? Councillor Cosgrove, second Councillor Souvlis. Any speakers or questions? I'll put the motion. All in favour? Any opposed? That's carried unanimously 10-0. Item 11.2.6, the operational plan report, pages 126 to 160. Is there a mover for this? Councillor Souvlis, second Councillor Govers. Any speakers or questions? I just had a quick question for the Director for Water and Waste Services. In regard to some of the, the ones that are flagged amber and red, planning for the Bermheads Reservoir, the assessment of the Ghost Hill Reservoir system and others, like the option study for the Harvey Bay Sewage Treatment Plant upgrade pathways, the completing a planning study for the Teddington Raw Water Pipeline, the completing the option study for the Teddington Water Treatment upgrade pathways, commencing a wet weather release options assessment. What is our sort of strategy to get those ones back on track?
Thank you, Chair. So those strategies are ones that were programmed to be commenced in the 25-26 financial year. Due to reprioritisation, they were deferred. So they are recommencing in this financial year. The way that we have ensured that they are commenced was that they were the first to be considered for prioritisation for 26-27. And so this financial year, we really have a focus on ensuring deferred projects are prioritised, but also planning projects. So you'll note a number of the Teddington pathways, the planning work for the reservoir repairs. They've all been prioritised first and foremost for this financial year to give us a much better footing for coming years. So thank you for the question.
Any further speakers? Councillor Byrne?
It's probably not really a question, more of a statement than I just want to commend our libraries team. When I read the report, it's amazing. 1,000 visitors per day across our 5 facilities, 6,000 attendees of various youth programs and such. Considering all of the activities that are run within our library, I think it's really exciting to see those statistics with the pending opening of the new facility. I think it's going to be exciting. I would expect those numbers to grow incredibly over the next few months. So I just wanted to point out how important that is. It's an incredible part of our community. It's a well-used and well-loved part of our community services. So congratulations to the libraries team.
Any further speakers or questions? I'll put the motion. All in favour? Any opposed? That's carried unanimously. Item 11.2.7, request for exemption under section 235B of the Local Government Regulation 2012 for the provision of audio-visual support and maintenance. This is pages 161 to 164. Is there a mover for this? Councillor Souvlis, seconded Councillor Chapman. Any speakers or questions? Motion, all in favour? Any opposed? That's carried unanimously. Item 11.2.8, request for exemption under section 235B of the Local Government Regulation 2012 for the provision of CCTV milestone software support, pages 165 to 169. Is there a mover for this? Councillor Paul Truscott, seconded Councillor Phil Truscott. Any speakers or questions? Councillor Phil Truscott.
Yeah, I just think this is a good idea this is one example of cutting a bit of red tape. Someone to make the decision rather than have to go through a whole process. Great idea. Should be more of it.
Motion, all in favour? Opposed? That's carried unanimously. Item 11.2.9, the monthly financial report, pages 170 to 181. Is there a mover for this? Councillor Souvlis, seconder. Councillor Byrne. Any speakers or questions? With the motion, all in favour? Any opposed? That's carried unanimously. Item 11.3.1, the Regional Arts Development Fund Program, pages 182 to 207. Councillor Souvlis, are you moving this?
Yes, please.
Seconded Councillor Govers. Any speakers? Councillor Souvlis?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a few words to congratulate the continuing members, volunteers on the Radish Committee. Thank you for your time thus far, and I look forward to working with you again. And also just to endorse a few of the changes that Councillor Govers and I and colleagues flagged to the terms of reference, just to be able to refine things and make sure that things are being done appropriately and that we're getting the right grant money to the right people. And I'm really excited to see what the 26-27 year brings, and I'm proud to continue as chair. Thank you.
Any further speakers? I'll put the motion, all in favour. Opposed? That's carried unanimously. Item 11.3.2, the Maryborough Time Cannon update. Councillor Paul Truscott.
Yes, I'll move that, Mr. Mayor, thank you.
An alternate motion that's been distributed? Yep.
The amended motion, yes.
Does everybody have the amended motion in front of you? Is there a seconder for that? Councillor Chapman? Councillor Truscott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is one of those motions that I genuinely hope is the beginning of the end of what has become a very long and challenging journey. For well over a century, the Maryborough Historic Time Cannon has been part of the identity of our city. It wasn't just a cannon going off at 1 o'clock, it became a tradition. It was something that visitors came to see, and it was something locals were proud of and physically connected us to our history. Then, almost overnight, it stopped. Not because anyone had been hurt, not because there had been an accident, but because a piece of our history suddenly found itself caught up in modern bureaucracy. Today, we're taking another step towards resolving that. And I want to sincerely acknowledge two organisations that have been instrumental and helpful outside of council throughout this process. Firstly, the Olds family from Olds Engineering. Over the years, they have generously donated their time, not just on this, but to so many things in the Maryborough and the Fraser Coast, and their expertise, their equipment to assist council. Nothing has ever been too much trouble for them, and they've simply wanted to help preserve an important part of Maryboro's history. Our community owes them a genuine thank you. But I'd also like to acknowledge Rob Nyer and the Nyer Group. Rob and his team have been incredibly generous with their knowledge, experience, advice and practical assistance. They didn't have to become involved, but they recognised the significance of the time cannon to Maryborough and have gone out of their way to help find a path forward. I'm extremely grateful for everything they've done and continue to offer. The motion before us today also asks that we once again write to Queensland Police Weapons Licensing to seek recognition of the original time cannon as what it is, an antique. And it's crazy to think that they would have proposed to allow a piece of history to be destroyed. And then that brings me to the Premier. Mr. Mayor, you and I jointly wrote to Premier David Crisafulli on the 13th of May asking for his assistance. That was more than 2 months ago. And to my knowledge, not only have we not received an answer, we haven't even received an acknowledgement. I find that deeply disappointing because this isn't a political stunt. This is Queensland's heritage city asking its Premier for help to preserve one of our most recognisable traditions, Surely that deserves at least the courtesy of a response. We know that the correspondence has reached his office, so the obvious question is, where is his response? Many people may not realise that this time cannon was gifted to the people of Maryborough by a former Premier of Queensland. So I think it's a fair question to ask, will the current Premier help save it? Or will he simply allow it to disappear behind bureaucracy and bubble wrap? Because that's what's at stake. This isn't just a cannon. It's about whether we're prepared to preserve the traditions that make places like Maryborough unique. And I appreciate the work that our council officers have undertaken to get us to this point, and I support this proposed motion because it gives us some options. It protects the replica for a short period while we await for a hopeful and potential response from the Premier. But we have to put a time frame on it as well to be real. It continues the work to have the original canon recognised appropriately, and importantly, it commits us to looking at ways to bring back the time canon tradition should the Premier not step up, whether that's with the original canon, an alternative mechanism, or even theatrical reenactments, which aren't the real thing, but we live in different times these days. What locals and visitors want to see and hear is that familiar boom again, and seeing a tradition they've loved for generations continue into the future. So I call on the Premier to step in and respond and do what he can to help. Thank you.
Councillor Chapman.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd actually like to support Councillor Truscott's work that he's been putting into this and the other councils that have been involved. I just think that this is something that can't be lost from Maryborough, is the time cannon. It's a big part of history. It goes back to when the boats used to come into the wharf. And you never know, Mr Mayor, I just hope it's saved, and you never know, 2032, it may open the Olympic Games.
Any further speakers or questions? I'll put the motion. Move Councillor Truscott, seconded Councillor Chapman. Sorry, Councillor Cosgrove.
Mr Mayor, I'd just like to foreshadow the officer's recommendation.
Oh, yeah, so the officer's recommendation foreshadowed, yeah. So I'll put the motion, which is moved by Councillor Truscott and seconded Councillor Chapman. If that fails, we'll deal with the officer's recommendation. All those in favour? All those opposed? That's carried unanimously, so the foreshadowed motion lapses. Item 11.4.1, consent to become sole member of Fraser Coast Tourism and Events, FCTE, pages 218 to 222. Is there a mover for this? Councillor Soublis. And seconded, Councillor Cosgrove. Any speakers or questions? I'll put the motion. All in favour? Any opposed? That's carried unanimously. Item 11.5.1, feasibility of one-way street trial in Adelaide Street, Maryborough, pages 223 to 232. Is there a mover for this? Councillor Sanderson, seconded Councillor O'Keefe. Any speakers or questions? Councillor Sanderson?
I'm okay, Mr Mayor. I'm happy with that step forward.
Councillor Truscott?
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I guess just to clarify on the record to the public, if anyone's listening or comes back in time, that this isn't actually doing it or anything at this stage. Just to clarify that the point is we've received the feedback and that it's seeking a funding request to the state government to develop an activation strategy. So this isn't actually making any change at the moment, just to put that clearly on the record.
Any further speakers? Councillor Byrne?
I'd just like to support the motion with the view that we do need to have a look into ways to activate our CBD, and moving forward to the 2032 Olympics, I think that it would be pertinent to look at every possible avenue that we can to increase economic activity within our CBD. There's some great things happening in there, and I think this is a way for us to see if we can increase that and make it a more favourable place for the whole region to use.
Councillor Chapman?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'll be supporting this also, but I'd just like to say I've just had some dealings with some of the businesses in the CBD over the last couple of weeks, and I never realised, but it's like a big community in there. They all work together and they're all connected with each other, and there was a young girl that started a hair salon in Maryborough, and I went in to just give us some support, Mr Mayor, and just to see the people around her, how connected they are, to want to try and help someone in new business. So I just think that it's great for the region.
Yeah, that's right. The new ice cream and gelati shop on Adelaide Street's really, really good.
I can attest to that.
Yeah,
Had it
yeah, that's
yesterday.
really good.
Very good.
And I think
Triple
it'll be another sort of step in Adelaide Street when Hollowbox moves into the old Queen's Hotel. Yeah, I think Adelaide Street, it's got a lot of, it is amazing. And we, as custodians of the CBD, have a role to make sure it continues to develop in ways that are pedestrian friendly, that are welcoming, that good for business, and good for people. Any further speakers or questions? I'll put the motion. All in favour? Any opposed? That's carried unanimously. Item 11.6.1, the tender award for the Maryborough MB Water Network Bridge Crossings and Water Main Replacement Construction Works, pages 233 to 248. Move Councillor Chapman, second Councillor Truscott. Any speakers or questions? I'll put the motion. All in favour? Any opposed? That's carried unanimously. Item 12.1, request for council to write to the state government regarding support for a feasibility study into the Mary River Boardwalk, page 249. Councillor Sanderson's moving this, slightly amended version. Councillor Truscott is seconding. Do you wish to speak to this, Councillor Sanderson?
Yes, briefly, Mr. Mayor. I'll quickly speak, but yes, colleagues, just I have amended the motion. I think it is a very positive step forward to activate that part of our city. We know that area is an iconic area of Maryborough and the region, and to see it activated, this is a step forward for that. To write to the local member is, as said, a very positive step, but it allows us to then know how much it would cost, bigger picture. It has to start somewhere. We have raised this years ago. It wasn't currently supported at that time, so a new state government, I think, is a step to ask them if they can support. So I do hope my colleagues can support this step forward to allow the state to then respond.
Any further speakers or questions? Councillor O'Keefe?
Just a question to the CEO on the way that this might be interpreted. Are we asking for full funding of the feasibility study? Is that the intent here?
Through the chair, I believe that is the intent. I think that should be the starting point, and then we can go there following response from state government.
Yeah, I've got a question to Councillor Sanderson here. Councillor Sanderson, in your wording there, it's the feasibility of a boardwalk on the Mary River. Now, the concerns that I feel is with a boardwalk is it's in a flood zone, and there's a lot of flooding that actually happens in there. I wondered if you were interested in changing your wording to, instead of having boardwalk, having it to walk and cycle path. So it could be a pathway put in for people to access along the river. Then if it does flood, there's no infrastructure that's damaged. It'll just be a pathway. I just thought of in your wording, if you actually got a boardwalk, you've stipulated for boardwalk, but the boardwalk will give walk and cycle access, and there's different ways with how we can build infrastructure to make it resilient. And I just wondered if you're really trying to get access for people to walk and cycle and be in that environment. There may be some areas that you may need a boardwalk, but there's other areas that you could do it with a concrete path, the same as the Esplanade. So I was just wondering if you're interested in looking at that. When it comes to, it gives more options for someone's doing a feasibility, but in here it's directing to say a boardwalk.
Happy to respond through you, Mr. Chair and Mr. Mayor. To Councillor Chapman, I would, if the CEO's happy for that, to amend the motion to say after boardwalk / walk and cycle pathway.
Yeah.
Is that what a second?
Yes, well, actually, while we're on checking for words though, I just wondered, I noticed after Mary River, it says for the Granville Bridge to the Brolga Theatre. I'm thinking, should that say from? Just to change that word as well. Thanks.
Happy to do that. Yep, correct.
Maybe the other amendment as well, sorry.
Yeah, councillor Truscott?
I don't want to complicate matters, but
But I will.
absolutely. When I say complicate the motion, is I tend to agree with Councillor Chapman, but if you're going to do a pathway, which I agree with, then perhaps the motion should say, for a better word, dolly up the riverbank along that pathway, because that's what he's trying to do, is create a more attractive place.
Yeah.
And if it's just a pathway, we've already got one there, by the way, just extending it. But to make it look better, you know, like they've done in Brisbane, enhance it some way with either plants, or, you know, plants that suit the riverbank, if that's okay with everybody, or we deal with that later.
Yeah, I mean, I would have thought the feasibility study would look at this. Say, for example, the one area where we actually do have a bit of a boardwalk is at the end of what was McAllister Street, at the bottom of the Mary River Parklands. And that boarded area has been through the 2013 flood. It's been through all the 2 major and 2 minor floods in 2022 intact. Whereas the big loss from those floods was, of course, Lamington Bridge pontoon. And that's because it goes straight out, and then, of course, the other pontoon. Whereas maybe, you know, the feasibility study would say, well, the boardwalk that snakes along the edge and stays close, like this boardwalk we have, not boardwalk, but a deck that we've got that's been flooded so many times. The feasibility study would take that into account and say, well, you just don't go straight out like these pontoons that we've lost.
Mr Mayor, just an awareness there is, when the riverbank breaks its bank on down the pocket, Tanana Creek actually puts a channel straight across where this walkway is going to be.
Yeah, I take your point, that's right, it does.
Yeah, so that's what I was looking at, is...
Yeah, the pocket becomes a thoroughfare,
Yeah, that's right.
Councillor O'Keefe?
Just a question on process. So we have an amended motion now.
Yeah, it's slightly different. So from the original motion, which was tabled, the movers added the words, including the local member from Maryborough, Mr. John Baronis MP, and then after boardwalk, they've added
Walking/cycle pathway.
yeah, or
From
yeah.
the Mary.
What is that says? Establish a boardwalk / walk and cycle pathway.
That's correct. And we've also asked the state to fund it. Yep.
Seek their support to fund. Yeah. Okay. Maybe just for history, Councillor Sanderson, like I remember this concept as being bridge to Brolga, but did we put out much of a documentation about this 10 years ago, or I can't find anything through quick searches. Oh, Radcliffe, yeah, it might have been in the Radcliffe report from even longer ago, a quarter of a century ago.
Yeah.
Is that right, Councillor Sanderson? That it was known as the bridge to Brolga, and it's sort of, there is a bit of a concept out there.
That's right, Mr Mayor, they're correct. Miss Jamie Covert would know a lot more, but there is definitely a strategy, bridge to Brolga strategy that was done, and the Radcliffe plan that was done many years ago as well, which I think encompassed this area as well. So it would be great to see it activated. Other cities do it well. They've gone through floods too, and have these infrastructure pieces. So yeah, I think it would be a great step forward.
So I guess I'm saying is somewhere there is just the concept of it, and this would be the feasibility study about if that could work given the topography, the flooding that we know. Yeah. Councillor Govers?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just a question. What's the distance between the bridge and the city?
2 kilometres.
So all the way to the Brolga? At least 2, maybe 3?
Yeah, probably 2.
At least 2. So if you're going all the way to the Brolga.
So it's a fair distance. Yeah, okay, thank you.
Part of the path already exists in there, so it would probably only be a connection, wouldn't it?
Yeah, if you didn't go.
Maybe 1 kilometre. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you just made it along the Kent Street, I mean, the main bit that you would add would be the Kent Street, unless you did duplicate the walk it by the railway line in Queen's Park. Yeah.
Drive would be too, but as the
Yes, Mr Mayor.
Just coming along the bank is about 1.5 kilometres.
All the way to from the Brolga to the bridge. Okay.
1.5, okay, well, that's even better.
Well, with a couple of minutes, probably 2.
Okay, any further speakers or questions? I'll put the motion, all in favour? Any opposed? That's carried unanimously. Item 12.2, request for briefing, shed at 5 Pepper Road, Glenwood. This is supplementary, page 252. It's moved Councillor Phil Truscott. Is there a seconder? Councillor Chapman, do you wish to speak to this?
Yes, I do. Initially, when my original motion was to just leave the shed as it is, I'm no engineer, but I've never heard any reasonable common sense excuse to move it. I think it's fine as it is, but that's why I'm happy now to have a discussion so that all councillors are aware of what we're talking about, because the reason for it is all stated in the motion there, 12.2, whatever it is.
Can I just check, because you said you had an original motion, I'll read out the motion I think we're dealing with.
Sorry.
That council requested a further briefing be provided to councillors by 3 August 2026 with regard to the shed located at 5 Pepper Road, Glenwood, to understand 1, the work required and any associated costs to ensure the shed meets appropriate compliance requirements, 2, potential alternate options to ensure appropriate storage can be provided on the site, and 3, what, if any, approval pathways would be required to see a resolution of storage on the site. That's the motion? Yep.
Yes, well, no, it's actually not. Two things I want to say. What I was talking about before is we discussed this with the CEO and I wasn't happy with the motion that came back to me, but the motion that's on there now will have an amendment, and that is to change the date from the 3rd to the 6th, which is the Thursday. The reason I said the 6th and not the 5th is because it says by the 5th. So I've changed to the Thursday, but we'll talk about it probably on the 5th, which is fine.
So just so the only change is the 3rd to the 6th?
Correct.
Is that acceptable to the seconder?
Yes, oh, hang on, yes, Mr.
I don't know, see, I try to stop these things coming through and they don't. The reason being because 3 groups are desperate for storage. One group is also more than desperate for a place to call home because the ladies' shed that is, they used to meet in a very nice garage, and the poor people that provided that have now moved out. And now they've got nowhere to go. And I'm concerned about the time it'll take to make all these things happen, which is why I didn't want to get rid of the shed, because at least it's there, it's big. I've been told that it's not suitable for humans to occupy, but it is suitable for storage. So then we deal with the other lady shed. So we've only got one problem left if we leave the shed there, and that is getting something for the lady shed. So anyway, the only amendment now is to move the date to the 6th. That was my error. I said the 3rd, but, so that's it.
Councillor Chapman?
Mr. Mayor, I actually support Councillor Truscott here. What Councillor Truscott do, and I take my hat off for you, is you're listening to the community. And I think that's, as a council, is what we've got to do. Here's a community that are looking, that they want a facility that they can lock up. We were told the other day that we can pull the shed down and use the slab for people to play pickleball or whatever they'd like to do on that slab. Now, the edge of that slab's got a 600 drop-off onto it, so we'd have to look at putting soil in to fill it up, to make it usable, everything like that. The community haven't asked us anything about a pickleball court or anything like that. If we need to build a pickleball court, we can always put a concrete slab down anywhere where they'd like it to be put. And just because there's a concrete slab there. I've actually thought about this quite seriously about it's not going to cost any more money to pull it down and move it and build it on another premises. But what I look at, than buying a new one and building on the other premises. I look at what is lost to the community, what the community are asking for, and they're after storage space or to run community events or store their gear. I look at the Apex shed down the road here when it was down in Tavistock Street, and it was actually on leased land from the council. Now, that old shed was built many, many years ago, and the Apex run that shed for storing all their vans and their eskies and everything that they needed to, they knew exactly where it was. This is what this community want, is they do not want to lose a facility that's sitting there now, and it's got solar. You'd have to remove the solar, you have to disconnect the power, remove the solar, pull the whole thing apart, move it on, and then rebuild it. To me, let's listen to the community. and let's leave the shed where it is. If it's going to cost the same price to build a new shed in another area, I look at the end result is we're going to have a shed in Maryborough where this one was going to go, and we're going to have another shed in Glenwood where the community want to have a facility. So, Councillor Truscott, I respect that you are listening to the community here, and I really feel that we've got to, as a council, see what we can do for them. Thank you.
Any further speakers or questions? I'll put the motion. All in favour? Opposed? That's carried unanimously. General business, is there any general business? Councillor Chapman?
Mr Mayor, I'd like to just put in general business. I wish to Councillor Sanderson.
Yes. Yes. Congratulations, Councillor Sanderson.
Councillor Sanderson, is it right, if you want to, do we vote on it or?
We don't need a resolution.
You didn't get up, Mr Mayor, Councillor Sanderson. Councillor Sanderson, I just wish you all the best in your future. Thank you.
Yes, yeah, wish you all happiness. Any further general business? Late items. We have item 16.1.1, confirmation of the special meeting of June 2026, which was the budget meeting. Pages 253 to 283 is a remover that the minutes be confirmed. Councillor Byrne, seconded Councillor Souvlis. Any speakers or questions? All those in favour? Any opposed? That's carried unanimously. Just confirm with the acting CEO that there are no more items on the agenda. That concludes the business. I'll close the meeting at 10:46. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.